founded CodeValue with 10 architects.
Wow.
And yeah, from the very first day, and people just joined, just wanted to be part of this group, of this elite group, wanted to do wonderful project, and also customers came because they knew that they will get the best solution.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today, I am with Alon, and we're going to be talking about architecture, software, and everything in between. Alon is a global authority on multiple technologies and platforms: cloud computing, Windows internals, C++ Windows programming, .NET with C# or C++. He is the co-author of the Windows 7 Microsoft training program and the books introducing Windows 7 for developers published by Microsoft Press. For his proven expertise in community leadership, Alon was awarded Microsoft Regional Director and Microsoft Most Valuable Professional status. As a result, Alon is an in-demand speaker on these subjects at major international conferences such as TechEd Europe, TechEd USA, NDC, and more. Beyond heading up most of CodeValue's complex strategic consulting and development projects, Alon is a CodeCollege top faculty member, bringing to the job many years of training experience both in Israel and abroad. Alon received his BSc in Electrical and Computer Engineering from the Technion, Israel's prestigious institute of technology. I've been searching for people that are truly happy with what they're doing, and innately they're excited about what they're doing. And I can't think of that many people that where I look at a profile like yours and your background and the things that you do in the day-to-day and the things you've done and the company you've built now, that really embodies a true passion of yours. And Alon, I want to start over there before we even get to CodeValue and what you've done as the chief architect of many organizations. Talk to me about this passion of yours, software.
So I started to program when I was a kid. I think I was the first person in my small town. I live in Binyamina, and I was the first high-tech guy when I was young in Binyamina. I think I started when the first personal computers arrived to Israel. I have the first computer that I started was the ZX80 of Sinclair, and then I bought this. This is a machine that I found in one place, and I started to code, and I liked it so much, so I bought. I asked my parents to buy me the Commodore VIC-20. It was a 5K computers. You have 3.5K to do your programs, and I started to do basic, but I saw that it ran too slow. So I was like 12, and I moved to develop using assembly. It was an 8-bit computer, and this is where my love to code and to program began. And
Incredible.
since then, this is what I do. I moved from the 8-bit to 16-bit and 32-bit. Used to use Commodore Amiga, and then moved to Unix, the operating system that came before Linux. And from Unix to Windows, I started my first actual job when I was a student in the Technion, but started to work was using Windows 95. And then I moved to Windows NT and to the internal of Windows. When I could see the engineering of the operating system. And this is where, started to, when you see great stuff and you dig into the system and you understand the system, this is where you start to love the system, the architecture of the system. And it hooked me to, I used to be a non-Microsoft guy. And once I started to use the internal of Windows, I became a Microsoft guy. So it was like to developer, but also to understand the system. And since I love to share and I love to talk, I started to speak about like everything about software, about systems. And this is how I became speaker. Um, and and the combination of what you love to do and the combination of sharing what you do, I think made me what I am today. I uh, still speak and still continue to get into the details, to understand the system, to understand requirements, and to build the architecture of the system. And nowadays, it's in one hand, it's much more complex because you have so many requirements and you need to serve so many different customers, and the scale is huge. It's internet scale, it's cloud scale. So in one hand, it's much more complex. In the other hand, you have all the facilities. You have and many different kinds of technologies. You have the cloud with so many services. So you can build this system, which are more complex in one hand, but then you have more tools to build them.
Phenomenal.
And this is actually what I'm doing today.
Going back to you developing as an engineer, and here I'm trying to distill what transition you've made from being a software engineer, a developer, to being a leader, right? And it sounds like there were a few things along the way, but one thing that I was hearing as a theme is this question, is this idea of progress, right? That the world progressed, technologies progressed, and you yourself progressed with them, and you became a deep having a deep understanding of these technologies that are emerging and where they're headed. Talk to me a little bit about that aspect of your personal growth.
Yeah, when you start, you need to learn a lot because usually you start and there is the current technologies that you somehow need to gain all the knowledge in order,
Mm-hmm.
just to become a developer. For me, I was lucky because I started when the first personal computers came to be, and I, could go with them, go with the technology. Um, Even though there were computers from the 50s and the 60s, there were mainframes, and for me, when I was a kid, is to look at these machines and try to understand what are those machines, how you work with them. For new developers today, they need to learn so many different technologies, just to get started. So I was lucky. And since I really like to know how things work, not just the abstraction, not just use the software or use the SDK, the software development kit, or the language, but also understand how it was built, how things work. I was into the details from the first, from my first learning. Uh, And so, if we'll take, for example, after using Basic and assembler, I moved to C and then to C++. And C++ was very young programming language when I started. And then in 2000, I moved to .NET and
Mm-hmm.
C Sharp from the beta version of C Sharp and .NET from the very beginning. And any new release, you just learn, just the delta or just what was added to the release. So again, it's much easier than to get into something and you need to learn, from now and backward. Um, of course, there are some times that you need to learn also the history and everything, because if you get into new technologies that you didn't do before, like for me is using web technologies, for example. So I used to do HTML back then when there was no blogging system, so you just had your HTML page.
Incredible.
But nowadays, if you want to do something, you need to learn React and Angular and all this stuff. So yeah, there are sometimes that you feel like a beginner because you need to get into new technology. But even though you get into new technology, there are many things which are just the same. So you learn something and you say, yeah, this is somewhere similar to other technology. You just need to learn the different tiny things, but you know how to use it. And you have a
Mhm.
very good understanding of how things work. So again, it's easier to grasp new technologies. But the places that I have the expertise, which, an expert is somebody that knows everything about nothing. So, so the areas that I have the expertise is those areas that I just grew with them, like Windows internals, like C++, like .NET, C Sharp, um, the cloud. I started when AWS and Azure just started, and so you again, every release you study about the new release. Even though today there are so many different services, so you cannot know everything. And there are areas that you just know about them, a bit that you can talk about them, but you are not in the details. Like for me, something that I really want to know, but I just play with is like machine learning and AI, which is another field, another area that you need to get into the details. So I can use them, but I'm not, consider myself as an expert in the area.
Now,
But
is
for
this a
the,
transition that you've made personally from saying, okay, I'm going to go into the internals and I'm going to be able to speak about the ins and outs and the zeros and the ones, and understanding that, okay, now I'm actually going to have the superpower of understanding a lot of technologies, understanding their pros and cons, and being able to delegate also responsibility and finding the right people to be able to dive into those zeros and ones?
right. So when you become an architect, you cannot understand everything, but you at least need to understand the abstraction layer. You need to pick the right solution, the right service for the job. So you need to know after architecture is made from many different components. You need to know the properties of the components, and you need to know you need to connect the different components together, and you need to know the properties of the connections of the components. But it doesn't matter which system you build. Even if you build a car or a building, there are components that are somehow connected, and there are properties of the connection and the components. So this is architecture. And if you want to be a good architect, then you need to understand, or you need to know many different tools, and you need to know how to pick the right tool for the requirements that you need to fulfill. One thing which is, I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's bad in software, is that even if you write a bad software, it will work, but it will not work good. So
Right.
you order a pizza, uh, 10 times, you succeed to order, but then in the 11th time, then you get please reorder, and something is wrong there. Somebody didn't pick the right tools or didn't use the tool in the right way.
Well,
Uh,
in this example specifically, it's pizza, but we have a whole Netflix documentary on Boeing, and it's a little bit of a
yeah,
different story.
right, right. So yeah. So when I teach about software architecture, um, I teach about all those quality attributes: reliability, security, privacy, scalability, all the different concerns that you can. It doesn't matter what you build; it's the concern that concerns any system. And I build not just about these qualities, but also how to get this and how to use the tools to get these qualities that make your software much better. And one of the things is that when you start, usually you just want to do the MVP, right? You want to have the minimal viable product, the minimum system that you can build. And many startups, they just do this kind of quick and dirty job. Let's just have something that we can sell. And the problem with these startups is when they succeed, when they have the success, then they have the problem because the system is not built with these qualities. They cannot scale. They have problems of security and stability. And today with the cloud, you can build using the same effort, the same time, but choosing right, you can build systems that can scale and that can have much better qualities just by using the right architecture and picking the right tools. And I think this is something that for me, when I do the analysis of this kind of project and I talk with startups and with junior developers, this is my passion: how to tell them what to do and how to assist them with building a system that will last, that will have this great qualities without, putting much more effort just by choosing right.
Incredible. Tell me about code value.
So CodeValue, we founded CodeValue about 12 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And we wanted to build a place for developers and architects that they will feel like that they are not coming to work, they are coming to do what they love to do. One of the problem with the high tech, and maybe today is less, maybe today you can find other places that have the same approach as our approach, but back then, if you want to proceed with your career, usually you have to become a project manager, a team leader, somebody that most of the time sits in meetings and not, doing actual coding and architecture and building systems. And we wanted to have a home for this kind of people, the people that still wants to stay professional, to do what they love to do, a home that if they say something, somebody else will listen to them. They will not need to fight for the right to do the right thing. And also for young developers that want to become this kind of person, this kind of architects and senior developer. And this is why we built CodeValue. We founded CodeValue with 10 architects.
Wow.
And yeah, from the very first day, and people just joined, just wanted to be part of this group, of this elite group, wanted to do wonderful project, and also customers came because they knew that they will get the best solution use with us, with these professional architects and developers. So this was the base of CodeValue, and from there we continue to grow. We grow with people, but also with different areas. Um, we started when we started, and we came to companies. We told them we think that you need to be to use the cloud. For example, they ask us what is the cloud? Why do you think that we need to be there? Today, it's obvious. Unless you have a very good reason not to be in the cloud, you are in the cloud. Same was with mobile. So we want to be mobile first, cloud first, and we always look at new technologies because we know that our people like to use the best and to be first that use the technology, but also with caution because you don't want to use something which is halfly baked or might not be a success. So always be cautious, but to use the best tools and the new tools, and this would happen. We now have people that they are web developers and backend cloud developers. We do a lot of IoT solutions. We are multi-cloud companies, so we build also for AWS, Google, Amazon.
Incredible.
Yeah, so
Now looking at your journey until now, and obviously CodeValue is a huge company, and you're doing phenomenal things. If you look at your passions today, and going back to the theme of growth and how you grew as an engineer and an architect and a leader, where's the passion today?
the passion is still with, I say, mentoring. It's not just learn new. Every day I learn new stuff. Probably I also forget some, but every day you learn something. But it's not just learning; it's also to share what you learn and to share your experience. So I learned, by doing stuff. I learned also by looking at other systems that other people build, for good and bad. Sometimes you even learn more from, that you see something which is wrong, but also to share. And my passion today is not just to share my knowledge with the senior developers and other architects and startup companies, but also with junior developers. I think that our mission today is to somehow fill the gap of taking new junior developer that just finish any kind of study. You have boot camp, you have universities, you have colleges, and they are not ready to get into, to start their work. When you ask somebody to get a junior to his team, usually they will say that they can't they can't have the junior because it will take more time and more effort, because you now need to assign somebody from the team to mentor this junior, and you will not get the productivity that you need. But I think that with the right mentoring before or during the studies, or just after, but before starting the actual employment, you can, by applying, by providing the means of how you use the tools, how you become part of a team, how you get a task and you fulfill the task, how you can learn by yourself, and instead of going to somebody and interfere with their work, and provide this mentorship so they can start in a much better, better level of knowledge and expertise. And this is something which today I'm passionate. And this is one of the things why I am a Microsoft MVP. Most valuable professional, go to the community, speak with the community. But today I want to focus also not with the expert and senior developer, which usually this is what I used to do, because I'm an architect. I talk in this level. Now I try to talk in this level and somehow fill this gap, because we are missing so many different developers. We are missing like 50,000 developers today in Israel.
Incredible. Incredible. Just incredible. And Alon, I think that the way you're talking about, your own journey coupled with CodeValue and where you are today, and this idea of mentorship and MVP, it's really awesome for me to hear, and it's inspiring and it's refreshing meeting people that are so excited about what they're doing and so passionate about it and building incredible products and incredible companies. And I really want to thank you for your time and your energy. I learned a lot, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you
And
very
stay
much.
safe and stay healthy. And best of luck with CodeValue.
Thank you.